Thank you very much, Chairman. And first of all, I want to welcome all the groups here, especially the Macra group, and wish the new president all the best in their tenure. I suppose Macra is it's a great organisation. When you see them in action in Kinmare last Sunday morning, organising the tractor run from Kinmare to Kilgarvan, and the team of youngsters that were involved, it gives the likes of me hope to see that set up and to see them involved and see them so active, and that's actually great. I suppose, Chairman, there's a lot of days when I'm in here listening to other Oireachtas members and in the chamber as well. It's like I come from a different world altogether, because as small as the country is, the difference in views of the people from representing the urban areas and the likes of us representing the rural areas is far and wide. And they see, just take the rental value alone. I have been highlighting in the chamber for a number of weeks now the amount of vacant houses that are along the road from Kinmare to Kilgarvan, almost to Killarney, we'll say 7 miles out from Killarney. And you see, what's wrong there is that they may not be all farmhouses or in farms, but they're certainly attractive as far as I'm concerned. But the thing is, there's maybe work to be done to some of them. And the fact, there's two problems. Why are the houses idle? It's a shame when you think of people and all the noise about homeless and that. But the first thing is the rental value in those places, like 500 or 600 euros a month. And if we're being taxed at 52% or 56%, which is often the case, all we've left out of that then is maybe 300, 250, pay your insurance and pay all the other things. And then the other big problem, when you want the house back, you can't get it back, because the RTB are insisting on regulations that are favouring the people that are in the houses. You just can't get your house back. So that's one thing. And then you see, I think the girls are right here when they said they don't believe the figures. The figures that are being given for vacant houses are not true figures at all, because many of the houses that are counted, I fear, are kind of inside the middle of the farmyard. You know, maybe when the house was left idle first, the next thing they maybe built a shed up against the back of it. And like, you can't count that as an option for someone to come in to live in that house, even family members. So I think it's no good to count them down into the sky or out of the satellite. You need to go underground and see what's happening in the ground. The vacant house grant, I believe, is great. We have been looking for to tweak it since last October, since it came in. I mean, the first thing, it only applied to someone if they were going to live in the house, if it was going to be their permanent place of residence. Now you can actually rent it out. But there's another problem. And I had a fellow the other day, he put in planning permission to maybe knock a lot of the house and rebuild it. He's refused the planning permission because he already got planning permission for his own new house, and this house was there in a farmyard that he wanted to restore to life, and he would have rented it out, and now he had to withdraw the planning because when it isn't going to be his permanent place of residence, the grant is no good to him, anything that he gets. So we have to see what's happening in relation to the planning that's required for the derelict house or the vacant house, because I fear the planners are going to reject it, so the grant will be null and void if we'll have to have planning permission to what the council standards are, maybe septic tank or whatever. And then when it comes to the thing, have you another house before? I don't think many of them will qualify in Kerry anyway, and I blame the planning regulator. We have another scenario now in Kerry as well. So much of Kerry, especially the Killarney area, is what they consider under strong urban pressure. So Senator Lombard was saying here that if we're from the area, you need to be from the area. Well, I know several fellas that are from the area, but they're not farmers. And they can buy a site from the farmer, but they won't get permission for it. I have a case last week, and she's only a mile from, not even a mile, a kilometre from her mother and father. She can buy a site, but she's 10 miles out from Killarney, but she's still considered an area under strong urban pressure, and she won't get permission for it. And I blame the planning regulator for that, because when the county development plan was being put together last year, the councillors fought hard, but they failed the management had to go by the planning regulators' guidelines, and they had to conform, and that's where that is. Then we have another scenario like Deputy Fitzmaurice. Since 2012, it's not the TII to blame, but when Taoiseach Varadkar was the minister at that time, his department insisted that the TII adopt these regulations. And how it is hurting Kerry is, I don't think it is hurting any other county, Chairman, because there's up to 500 miles of national road in Kerry, between national primary and national secondary. You think about it, you come in east of Rathmore and go all the ways to Carsiveen and go all the ways around the Ring of Kerry and up to the tunnel in Mal's Gap and go from Kinmare down in over the tunnel up in Banan and come back and down into Kinmare and down into Mal's Gap and back into Killarney again, up to Listowel, up to Castle Island. All them, you can't come out anywhere. And then we have another story with the last 20 years since 2004. Where there's a bypass proposed for Killarney, and there's 4 different routes, and all that land is sterilised from Frattenford to Killarney, from Lissavigian to Muckross. Planning is nearly a no, and I welcome that farmers' sons and daughters can get it, but no one else can. And then we're told to go into towns and villages. And there's no sewage plant in Corra, there's no sewage plant in Scotland, where our great friend Tom Fleming comes from, and there's no treatment plant. And there's so many places looking for extension for sewage. You can't build a housing scheme in Kinmare because the treatment plant isn't up to scratch. You can get permission for one house, but not for a scheme of houses. They haven't been permission got there for a scheme of houses with 15 years. That's where we are. And in relation to the objectors, in 2004, which is nearly 19 years ago, I put a motion before Kerry County Council that time asking that the objection fee be raised to €2,000. Almighty God, I was bellowed out of the place. And if it was feasible to put 2,000 on that time, sure, it should be 20,000 now. In all fairness, it should be 100 times more than what it is. And levies, yes, and this man said there's no levies for things that you don't get in Cork. Maybe that is so, but his comrades in Kerry voted to put a levy for playgrounds, whether it were from a farm in Guineaville or Beaufort or Killorlin or wherever it was. All right, I'm nearly finished. And we weren't going to benefit at all from those playgrounds or whatever. And then on top of it, if there was a local road, and you had to be on a local road nearly to get permission, but that road won't be done up. Regardless, you'll have to pay the 2,500 or 2,000 or 3,000 levy for the roads, and it may not be going to your house at all, because more than likely, if your road needs to be done up, if it's a class 3 road, you'll have to pay into a community involvement scheme in order to get the road tapped. It might have been done with 40 years, Chairman, and they're getting nothing for it, and they're still charging levies. So look, I think I have nearly everything covered. But oh yes, there's a lady that mentioned about nodes. We had a man in Faha in the last month. He put in a planning application for 12 houses. And yes, Faha is supposed to be in a node. And he was turned down for his 12 houses, and they were going to be
okay, then no, we'll have to stop her because we're
all right, affordable houses. He was going to sell them for 255.
We're not talking about planning here now tonight, and it's revitalisation.
We're talking about rural Ireland, Chairman.
We're talking about revitalisation of houses. We're not over planning here on this committee, Dan.
Farewell. You missed the part where I gave yourself a rub.
Okay. I go back to the organisation. I go back to the organisation.
All right.
The other
very important thing is the size of the houses will have to come back.
I said the budget questions after making
I go back to the organisation.
And Deputy Healy-Rae, I concur with everything you said. And one thing I will say to you, and I've already said it, what you're saying is what we stood up for. We want a future in rural Ireland, and this is something that we need every representative to actually realise and actually see. And to those of you that did come out today when we arrived to Dublin, thank you. And to those that have reached out to us since, thank you.